So, I kind of wanted to get a schedule overview out of the way because I tried to record this earlier and it didn't come out the way I wanted it to. But I've slightly rebounded after that stream because whenever I stream, I somehow manage to kind of fall out of it for video making or anything, apparently. Because the way I did it, I don't know. Today was just the right day to kind of fall out of it after a stream. So I was like, now I kind of want to relax a little bit, potentially sleep, which didn't happen. But we're back, and well, I already got the Notre Dame schedule pulled up this time. One of the only times I ever have it pulled up, so this is interesting. There's only one bye week, 2 bye weeks. There is one between Notre Dame, Virginia Tech, which is October 9th, and USC, Notre Dame, which is the 23rd. And then between Georgia Tech, Notre Dame, November 20th. No, there isn't. Why did I think there was one between that and Stanford, Notre Dame? Well, I don't know where I got that from, but I'm so glad I didn't upload my other video then, because I had said it and I realized I was wrong. We've only got one this season. I'm guessing one's tacked on at the beginning of the year, one at the end. But I don't know, I'm probably wrong. I don't know for sure. But no, because technically this is our week 1. It's Florida State. So what do we have, 2 weeks at the end of the year? Does that sound right? I don't know. But Notre Dame Toledo and Notre Dame Purdue, which happen to be home games, those I automatically give to Notre Dame. Both those teams aren't on the level Notre Dame is. VTech, Virginia, Georgia Tech, and Cincinnati are teams that I think it comes down to the last half, but I ultimately give to Notre Dame. I think those should be games that are very much winnable for this team. And if they don't win them, then there's something wrong. Because they should be winning those games. Cincinnati's a special case. I don't necessarily know where they land this year. They're, in a way, I compare them to Coastal Carolina, as they've got to prove another year. They did have some mostly tough opponents, but they're not what Notre Dame's playing this year. So they're like Coastal, except better. So I'm thinking this year's a prove-it year for them, too. And then it comes down to Notre Dame, Wisconsin, which Notre Dame is just coming, I'll talk about that in a sec. And then USC and Notre Dame and UNC Notre Dame. So and Florida, the other games I haven't talked about yet, or I'm kind of giving their own special little category compared to the others, but so Notre Dame, Wisconsin is a neutral site game. It is at Lambeau Field. They'll be donning the Shamrock, Shamrock Edition uniforms. I lost the word edition in my head. And Shamrock Series uniforms, whatever. I got it right. I'm somewhat right. Trending in the right direction with both of those. But it's a neutral site, which is a good and a bad thing. But ultimately, that's a 50-50 game. And I clump USC and UNC in because both of those are also 50-50 games. The UNC game, I want to give to Notre Dame, but it depends on how the receiving core looks. I think I'll have to give that one to UNC by a hair. By a final drive. That'll come down to 1 or 2 final drives. Same thing's going to happen with UNC, or USC, which I think we're going to win, and I want to win because I'm going to be there. And, wait, actually, no. I'll give that one to us, and we'll take the L against the Wisconsin, because that's a neutral site. Now, the USC game The reason I really think we're going to win is because that's in a home atmosphere. It's coming off a break, and ultimately, I think there's enough there, and it's going to depend on how much of more of a role the running back room takes, and how much of a role guys like the two freshmen, Estime and isn't it? I'm losing his name right now, but it depends on what type of role the two freshman backs have. The Wisconsin game, I don't know. I really don't. That's a swing game to its meaning. That's going to come down to one or two drives. In the fourth quarter, USC, UNC, same thing. Here's the thing about North Carolina. That is another Notre Dame home game. That is coming off, if you get a big win against USC, you carry momentum. I think the momentum and the home atmosphere and having a bye the week before USC is going to be a big factor. And I think it'll come down to not only the running backs, but the receivers. Mayer's already locking down the tight end spot. It depends on who's at 2. I'm hoping whoever's at 2 can step up, but ultimately I gotta give that one both those games to Notre Dame, but give the Wisconsin game to Wisconsin, just based on the fact it's neutral site. It's going to be a tough game, and though Wisconsin is losing their quarterback, they're getting another good one in right behind them. Now, Florida State. First game, Notre Dame is in Florida. My thing about this game, Florida State's usually good through the first half, sometimes deceivingly good, and then they usually can fall apart. That's what worries me. That'll come down to the fourth quarter or second half. That's what that game's going to come down to. I'm going to give it to Notre Dame. I want to hope that Notre Dame walks away with flying colors, but sometimes Notre Dame can struggle right out of the gates. And with a new D coordinator and changing of the offense potentially with a bigger role towards the running backs and Kyron, Chris Tyree, a little bit of probably Seabone, maybe a little bit of the freshman. Not only that, you got to figure out your new receivers. You got to figure out your senior 5 or your experienced 5 receivers. You got to figure your situation out there. And I think Notre Dame may start off slow to start the year. Stanford. This is the final game of the season. This is Notre Dame's second away game in a 5-game stretch? And actually, I'll pull in, before I say that, I'll pull in Virginia with teams like Georgia Tech and Virginia Tech. That's a game that could come down in the second half, but Notre Dame should win. But I don't know, because that's an away game coming off 3 home games. But if they continue to ride momentum, that's their game all day. Stanford's a weird case, too. They've kind of fallen behind a little bit in recent years, and they're not necessarily what they used to be. That one, it's Notre Dame, but it depends on how this team wants to go out at the end of the year, and it depends on what you get in USC, because they're a weird, a potentially iffy case this year. And then Navy. Now, last time Notre Dame played Navy actually was competitive for the first quarter to first half. I think Navy's a team that Notre Dame may try not to overlook, but may overlook, because it's a naval academy. Let's face it, it's not Wisconsin, it's not USC, it's not UNC, it's not Stanford. It's not huge teams like that. Even if Stanford is kind of falling off a little bit, it's still not those teams. So you're probably gonna overlook them to an extent, and that's what worries me about that game. Other than that, it should be Notre Dame's game all the way through, but that triple option can be tricky sometimes. But hey, tell me what you think. I have them going with walking out of the season with 1 loss, maybe none, depending, because the swing game could go either way. And I think it's possible they snag a playoff spot. I hope they snag a playoff spot. Another thing I hope is that Bama takes a loss week 1 to Miami. But if there's any time I hope the U wins, and I usually don't really care about the U, it's this week. It's this first week. Please win. That would be awesome. And then if Boston College could do what they did last year, I'd be happy. If they could do what they did last year except win, I'd be happy. Then again, they'll find a way to get Bama in. But anyways, you know who I am. Watch out for the podcast later this weekend, and I will see you guys later.